The crash of my 60-inch TV hitting the hardwood floor wasn't what woke me up. It was Melissa's voice, shrill as a smoke alarm at 3 in the morning. If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I sat up in bed, watching my wife of 2 years hurl my PlayStation controller at the wall with the precision of a major league pitcher. The controller exploded into plastic shrapnel, scattering across my converted mill loft like confetti from hell. "Well, good morning to you too, sunshine," I muttered, reaching for my phone on the nightstand. The timestamp read 2:47 a.m. Perfect. Melissa spun around, her blonde hair whipping like she was in some twisted shampoo commercial. Her mascara had run down her cheeks in black rivers, and her designer dress, the one she'd worn to her girls' night out, was wrinkled and stained with what looked like red wine. "Don't you dare get smart with me, Derek," she screamed, grabbing my coffee mug from the kitchen counter. "This is all your fault." My fault? I stood up slowly, keeping my voice calm. After 15 years as a building inspector in this godforsaken New England mill town, I'd learned that the louder people got, the quieter I needed to be. "What exactly is my fault, Melissa?" She hurled the mug at my head. I ducked, and it shattered against the exposed brick wall behind me. "Everything!" she shrieked. "You embarrass me in front of my friends. You make me look like a fool." I glanced at the doorway where her best friend Jessica stood, arms crossed, smirking like she was watching her favorite reality show. Jessica had been stirring up drama since high school, and she'd turned Melissa into her personal puppet over the past year. "How exactly did I embarrass you?" I asked, genuinely curious. "I've been home all night, working on inspection reports." "By being you!" Melissa grabbed my laptop from the coffee table and raised it over her head. "By being boring, by being pathetic." That's when I started recording. I'd learned this trick from my buddy Nate, who worked construction and dealt with crazy homeowners all the time. Phone cameras were better than any security system, and they never lied in court. "Here we see the wild narcissist in her natural habitat," I narrated quietly, panning the camera across the destruction. "Watch as she demonstrates her mating call, a piercing shriek that can shatter glass at 50 yards. Melissa noticed the phone and lunged for it. I held it high, continuing my nature documentary commentary. "The female becomes agitated when her territory is threatened. She'll destroy anything in her path, including her own nest." "Stop filming me, you asshole!" She clawed at my arm, leaving red scratches across my forearm. "And there's the territorial marking," I said calmly. "Fascinating behavior." Jessica finally spoke up from the doorway. "Come on, Mel. Let's get out of here. He's not worth it." Melissa grabbed my kitchen knife from the counter and hurled it at the wall, where it stuck in the drywall with a satisfying thunk. "You'll regret this, Derek," Jessica said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Nobody treats my best friend like this and gets away with it." They stormed out, slamming the door so hard that dust rained down from the century-old ceiling beams. I stood alone in the wreckage of my apartment, surveying the damage. Broken TV, destroyed PlayStation, shattered mug, knife in the wall, scratches on the hardwood floor from Melissa's stilettos. Then I smiled. I walked to my desk, opened my laptop, thankfully undamaged, and started typing. Invoice date, November 15th, 2024. From Derek Sullivan, licensed building inspector, to Melissa Grant Sullivan, for damages incurred during domestic disturbance, Samsung 65, Smart TV, $1,200 PlayStation 5, console, $500 wireless controller, $70 coffee mug, handmade pottery, $45 drywall repair, knife damage, $150 floor refinishing, stiletto gouges, $300 cleaning supplies and labor, $100 total. Due, 365 payment. Terms, net 30 days. Late fee, 1.5% per month. I printed 2 copies on my official letterhead, sealed one in an envelope, and leaned back in my chair. Let's see how she likes a taste of her own medicine. The next morning, I drove to Jessica's house, a McMansion in the suburbs that her daddy bought her after college. Jessica answered the door in yoga pants and a tank top, holding a green smoothie like it was a weapon. "What do you want, Derek?" I handed her the envelope. "Invoice for your best friend," since she doesn't answer her phone. Jessica laughed, a sound like nails on a chalkboard. "Are you serious? You're billing her for having feelings?" "I'm billing her for property damage." I pulled out my phone and showed her the video from last night. "I've got it all documented. Show this to whatever lawyer she's probably already called." Jessica's smirk faded as she watched Melissa destroying my apartment. When the video reached the part where Melissa threw the knife, Jessica's face went pale. This is actually bad," she whispered. "Yeah, it is. Tell your friend that small claims court accepts video evidence. Have a great day, Jessica." I was walking back to my truck when my neighbor Louise appeared beside me like a ghost. Louise was 73, lived alone with 6 cats, and knew everyone's business before they did. "Derek, honey, we need to talk." Louise led me to her kitchen, poured coffee without asking, and sat down across from me with a manila folder. "I've been watching that girl of yours," she said, opening the folder, "and I don't like what I've been seeing." She spread out a dozen photographs across the table. All of them showed Melissa with a man I didn't recognize, tall, muscular, driving a BMW. The photos were taken at different times, different locations. My apartment building, the grocery store, the gym downtown. "Who is this guy?" I asked, though my stomach already knew the answer. "Bradley Morrow. Works at that tech company downtown. Lives in the fancy condos by the river." Louise sipped her coffee. "These were taken over the past 3 months, Derek. Every Tuesday and Thursday, like clockwork." I studied the photos. In one, Melissa was kissing him in the parking lot of my building. In another, they were holding hands outside a restaurant. The timestamps showed they were all taken during her supposed girls' nights. "Why are you showing me this, Louise?" "Because that woman has been making your life hell, and you deserve better." She patted my hand. "Besides, I hate cheaters. Reminds me of my second husband." My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Check your voicemail." I dialed voicemail and put it on speaker. A man's voice, nervous and official. "Mr. Sullivan, this is attorney Richard Blackwood representing Ms. Melissa Grant. My client intends to file a lawsuit against you for emotional distress, harassment, and invasion of privacy. The so-called invoice you delivered constitutes extortion, and the video recording was made without consent. We demand you cease all contact with my client immediately, or will pursue criminal charges. You have 24 hours to respond." Louise raised an eyebrow. "Well, that was fast. I called my friend Ben Martinez, a lawyer who'd helped me with contract disputes over the years. Ben worked out of a cluttered office above a pizza shop, but he was sharp as a razor and twice as mean when he needed to be." "Derek, what kind of trouble are you in now?" I explained everything, sent him the video and photos, and read him the lawyer's message. Ben laughed. "Oh, this'll be fun. First of all, that voicemail is total bullshit. You can record in your own home, especially when someone's destroying your property. Second, an itemized bill for actual damages isn't extortion, it's business. And third, if she wants to play the emotional distress card, those photos Louise took are going to be very interesting in court. So what do I do? Send me everything you've got. I'll draft a response that'll make this Blackwood guy wet his pants. And Derek, start documenting everything, every text, every call, every time she shows up at your place. This is about to get ugly." I hung up and looked at Louise, who was grinning like a cat with a canary. "What are you smiling about?" She pulled another envelope from her folder. "Because I saved the best for last." Inside were more photos, these taken through a telephoto lens, Melissa and Bradley in his condo, and they weren't playing chess. The images were explicit, clearly showing both their faces, with timestamps from last Tuesday night. Louise, how did you... Let's just say I have friends in high places, or in this case, friends with telephoto lenses and too much time on their hands. She winked. The question is, what are you going to do with them? I stared at the photos, feeling something cold and calculating settle in my chest. Melissa wanted to play games? Fine. I'd show her what games really looked like. I'm going to make her famous. That evening, I drove to the Rusty Anchor, the dive bar where half the town went to forget their problems. The place smelled like stale beer and broken dreams, but it had the best burgers in town and nobody judged you for drinking alone. Nate was already there, nursing a Budweiser and watching the Patriots game on the ancient TV above the bar. Nate had been my best friend since high school. 6'2", built like a brick wall from 20 years of construction work, and loyal as a golden retriever. "You look like hell," he said as I sat down beside him. "Feel worse." I ordered a whiskey and showed him the photos Louise had given me. "My wife's been cheating on me for 3 months. Nate studied the pictures, his face darkening. "Jesus, Derek. I'm sorry, man. What are you going to do?" "Ruin her life." "Okay, but let's be smart about it. You can't just post these online. That's revenge porn, and you'll end up in jail." "I know. But there are other ways to make someone's life miserable." I pulled out my phone and showed him Melissa's Instagram account. She had 15,000 followers who hung on her every word about fashion, lifestyle, and relationship advice. "Look at this," I said, reading her latest post aloud. "Just had the most amazing girls' night. Sometimes you need your squad to remind you what real friendship looks like. Blessed na girls' night na authentic." The post had 847 likes and dozens of comments from women praising her for being relationship goals. Nate shook his head. "That's cold, even for her." "Gets better. Look at the timestamp, posted at 11:30 p.m. last Tuesday. Louise's photos show her leaving Bradley's condo at 11:45. So she was literally posting about girls' night while walking out of her boyfriend's apartment? Exactly. I finished my whiskey and signaled for another. But here's the thing. I can't expose her directly. That makes me the bad guy. I need her to expose herself. How? I grinned. By making her angry enough to do something stupid in public. We spent the next hour planning. Nate knew everyone in town through his construction work, and he had connections I could use. His cousin worked at the local newspaper. His girlfriend was friends with half the women who followed Melissa on social media. His brother-in-law owned a food truck that would be at the downtown festival this weekend. "You sure about this?" Nate asked as we prepared to leave. "Once you start down this road, there's no going back. She started this war when she decided to cheat on me and then destroy my apartment. I'm just going to finish it." As we walked toward the parking lot, I spotted a familiar BMW parked under the streetlight. Bradley Morrow was sitting inside, talking on his phone, completely oblivious to our approach. "Is that him?" Nate asked. "That's him." Nate cracked his knuckles. "Want me to have a conversation with him?" "No, I've got a better idea." I walked up to the BMW and tapped on the window. Bradley looked up, startled, and rolled it down halfway. "Can I help you?" he asked, trying to sound confident but failing. "Bradley Morrow, right? I'm Derek Sullivan. I think we have a mutual friend." His face went white. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you do. Blonde hair, great smile, married to a building inspector who works late most nights." I leaned against his car door. "Ring any bells?" Bradley's hands were shaking on the steering wheel. "Look, man, I don't want any trouble." "Neither do I. But trouble seems to find me anyway." I pulled out my phone and showed him one of Louise's photos, the one of him and Melissa kissing in my parking lot. "Nice car, by the way. German engineering. Must have cost a fortune. What do you want?" "Right now? Nothing. But I'd avoid parking in well-lit areas if I were you. You never know who might be watching. I walked away, leaving him sitting there, sweating in his expensive car. Nate caught up with me. What was that about? Psychological warfare. He's going to spend the next week looking over his shoulder, wondering what I know and what I'm planning. Paranoid people make mistakes. And when he makes a mistake, I'll be there to document it. We were almost to our trucks when my phone buzzed. A text from Melissa. Stay away from my friends or you'll regret it. I showed the message to Nate, who laughed. She doesn't know you very well, does she? Apparently not. I typed back. Which friends? The ones who know about Bradley or the ones who don't? My phone started ringing immediately. Melissa's name flashed on the screen. Don't answer it, Nate said. Oh, I'm definitely answering it. I put the phone on speaker. Hello, dear. You snake. Melissa's voice was so loud that people in the parking lot turned to stare. How dare you threaten me? I didn't threaten anyone. I just asked a simple question. You know exactly what you're doing. You're trying to ruin my life. Your life seems to be doing just fine. Great Instagram post tonight, by the way. Very authentic. There was a long pause. When Melissa spoke again, her voice was quiet. If you think you can intimidate me, you're wrong. I have friends, Derek. Important friends. People who can make your life very difficult. Bring them on. I've got nothing to hide. We'll see about that. She hung up. Nate whistled low. She's scared. Good. Scared people make mistakes too. As I drove home, I couldn't help but smile. Phase 1 was complete. I'd planted seeds of paranoia in Bradley's mind and pushed Melissa into defensive mode. Now I just had to wait for them to make their next move. But I didn't have to wait long. Saturday morning arrived gray and drizzly. Perfect weather for the downtown fall festival that nobody really wanted to attend, but everyone showed up for anyway. The entire town would be there, which made it the perfect stage for what I had planned. I arrived early and found Nate setting up his booth. He was selling handmade cutting boards to raise money for the volunteer fire department. His cousin Jake was there too, camera in hand, ready to live stream the festival for the local newspaper's social media account. You sure about this? Jake asked nervously. If this goes wrong, my editor will have my ass. It won't go wrong, I assured him. Just keep the camera rolling when I give you the signal. At 11:30, Melissa arrived with Jessica and 2 other friends I didn't recognize. She was dressed to impress. Designer jeans, expensive boots, and a jacket that probably cost more than my truck payment. She looked like she was ready for a photo shoot, not a small-town festival. But she wasn't alone. Bradley Morrow walked up behind her, trying to look casual in his gym clothes and designer sunglasses. He kept glancing around nervously, probably still thinking about our conversation in the parking lot. Perfect. I waited until they were at the center of the festival, surrounded by the biggest crowd. Then I made my move. Melissa, I called out loudly, waving like we were old friends. What a surprise seeing you here. She turned, her face immediately shifting into a fake smile for the benefit of the crowd. Derek, how, nice. And you brought a friend. I extended my hand to Bradley. I don't think we've been properly introduced. I'm Derek Sullivan, Melissa's husband. Bradley's face went pale, but he shook my hand. His palm was sweaty. Bradley Morrow, he managed. Morrow? That name sounds familiar. Don't you live in those fancy condos by the river? The ones with the great views? Yeah. I bet you get a lot of visitors. Must be nice having such a welcoming place. Melissa stepped between us. Derek, what are you doing here? Same as everyone else, enjoying the festival with my neighbors. I gestured to the crowd around us. You know how it is in a small town. Everyone knows everyone's business. That's when I gave Jake the signal. He started live streaming, casually panning across the festival crowd. To anyone watching, it would look like innocent coverage of a community event. You know, Bradley, I continued, I feel like we've met before. Maybe in my neighborhood? I live in the old mill building on Riverside Street. Bradley looked like he was about to throw up. I don't think so. Really? I could have sworn I've seen your BMW in the parking lot. Nice car. Hard to miss. Melissa's fake smile was starting to crack. Derek, stop. Stop what? I'm just making conversation. I turned to Jessica and her friends. Ladies, how do you know Bradley? Is he part of your girls' night crew? Jessica opened her mouth to answer, then closed it, realizing she was walking into a trap. That's when Melissa snapped. Shut up, she screamed, loud enough for half the festival to hear. Just shut the hell up. The crowd around us went quiet. Jake's camera was still rolling. Melissa, calm down, Bradley whispered, grabbing her arm. She shook him off. Don't tell me to calm down. He's trying to humiliate me. I'm just talking, I said innocently. But if you're feeling humiliated, maybe you should ask yourself why. Because you're a pathetic loser who can't handle the fact that I'm better than you. The crowd was staring now. Someone pulled out their phone and started recording. Better than me how? I asked. By lying to your friends? By sneaking around behind my back? By destroying other people's property when you don't get your way? You never what? Threw my TV on the floor? Put a knife through my wall? Scratched up my hardwood floors with your stilettos? Melissa looked around wildly, realizing that everyone was watching, everyone was listening, and several people were now recording. You're insane, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. Am I? Then why don't you tell everyone where you were last Tuesday night? You posted about girls' night at 11:30. Where exactly were you when you posted that? Bradley tried to step away, but I moved to block his path. Going somewhere, Bradley? The conversation was just getting interesting. I don't have to listen to this, he muttered. Actually, you do. See, this is a public place, and I'm having a public conversation with my wife and her friend. Melissa was looking around frantically, realizing that her carefully constructed image was crumbling in front of half the town. You want to know the truth? She screamed. Fine. Yes, I was with Bradley. Yes, we're together. And yes, I'm leaving you for him. The crowd gasped. Jake's live stream was probably getting more views than the newspaper had seen in months. Bradley looked horrified. Melissa, don't what? Don't tell the truth? I'm tired of sneaking around. I'm tired of pretending to be married to this loser. She turned back to me, her face flushed with rage. You want to know why I cheated? Because you're boring. Because you're pathetic. Because Bradley treats me like a queen, and you treat me like a roommate. Is that why you destroyed my apartment? Because I'm boring? I destroyed your apartment because I hate you. I hate your stupid job. I hate your stupid friends, and I hate this stupid town. The crowd was completely silent now. Even the kids had stopped running around to stare at the drama unfolding in front of them. Jessica finally found her voice. Melissa, maybe we should go. No, I'm done hiding. Melissa pulled out her phone and started deleting photos. I'm done pretending this marriage was ever real. She threw her wedding ring at my feet, where it bounced off the asphalt and rolled toward a storm drain. There. Are you happy now? It's over. We're over, and everyone knows it. She stormed off, pushing through the crowd. Bradley hesitated for a moment, looking like he wanted to apologize, then hurried after her. Jessica and the other women followed, leaving me standing alone in the center of a circle of stunned festival-goers. Jake lowered his camera. Holy shit, Derek. That was perfect, I said quietly. Within an hour, the video was everywhere. Jake's live stream had been shared hundreds of times on Facebook. Someone had uploaded their phone recording to TikTok, where it was already going viral with the hashtag #BowFestivalDrama. The local newspaper's website crashed from traffic. By evening, Melissa's carefully curated social media presence was in ruins. Her Instagram was flooded with comments calling her a cheater and a liar. Her followers were abandoning her in droves, but I wasn't done yet. Monday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. The festival video had exploded over the weekend, spreading far beyond our little town. Someone had even made it into a meme. But the most interesting message was from Ben, my lawyer. Emergency meeting. My office, 9 a.m. Bring everything. I found Ben pacing behind his desk like a caged tiger, 3 empty coffee cups scattered around his workspace. Derek, we have a problem. And an opportunity. He handed me a legal document. Melissa's lawyer filed for an emergency restraining order, claims you're stalking and harassing her. That's ridiculous. Everything I did was in public. I know, and that's the problem. For them. Ben grinned. See, they're claiming you orchestrated the festival confrontation to humiliate her, but their own argument proves she was cheating, which gives you grounds for divorce based on adultery. What's the opportunity? Bradley's employer saw the video. Apparently he's been using company resources to impress his girlfriend. Company car, company credit card, even company time. They fired him this morning. I felt a surge of satisfaction. What about the restraining order? We're going to fight it, and we're going to win. Ben pulled out a thick folder. I've been busy. Louise gave me copies of all her photos. I've got the video of Melissa destroying your apartment. I've got screenshots of her social media posts with timestamps that prove she was lying about her whereabouts. And I've got something else. He handed me a bank statement. Melissa's been using your joint credit card to pay for hotels, dinners, and gifts for Bradley. We're talking about thousands of dollars over 3 months. She used our money to fund her affair? Yep, which means she committed adultery and financial fraud. In this state, that's grounds for a divorce that leaves her with nothing. What do you need from me? Just show up to court tomorrow and tell the truth. Let me handle the rest. The hearing was scheduled for Tuesday afternoon in the same courthouse where I'd filed dozens of building code violations over the years. Judge Patricia Coleman was presiding, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s who'd seen every kind of domestic dispute imaginable. Melissa arrived with her lawyer, Richard Blackwood, and a completely new look. Gone were the designer clothes and perfect makeup. Instead, she wore a conservative dress and minimal cosmetics, clearly trying to play the role of the innocent victim. Your Honor, Blackwood began, my client has been subjected to a campaign of harassment and intimidation by her estranged husband. He's stalked her, threatened her friends, and orchestrated a public humiliation that has destroyed her reputation and mental health. Judge Coleman looked unimpressed. Mr. Martinez, your response? Ben stood up slowly. Your Honor, Mr. Sullivan has done nothing more than document his wife's adultery and request compensation for property damage she caused during a violent outburst in his home. He played the video of Melissa destroying my apartment. The sound of the TV hitting the floor echoed through the courtroom. Furthermore, Ben continued, Mrs. Sullivan has been conducting an extramarital affair for 3 months, using marital funds to support her relationship with another man, and lying to friends and family about her activities. He presented Louise's photos, the bank statements, and screenshots of Melissa's social media posts. The incident at the festival wasn't harassment, Your Honor. It was a husband confronting his cheating wife in a public place, which is his legal right. Judge Coleman studied the evidence for several long minutes. When she finally spoke, her voice was ice cold. Mrs. Sullivan, is it true that you were having an extramarital affair? Melissa's lawyer whispered something in her ear. She nodded reluctantly. Yes, Your Honor, but is it true that you used marital funds to support this affair? Another reluctant nod. And is it true that you destroyed your husband's property during an argument? Melissa looked like she wanted to disappear. Yes, but he was recording me without permission. In his own home, which he has every legal right to do. Judge Coleman's expression was stern. Mrs. Sullivan, you've committed adultery, destroyed marital property, and misused marital funds. The idea that you deserve a restraining order against the husband you've wronged is absurd. She turned to me. Mr. Sullivan, I'm denying the restraining order petition. However, I strongly advise you to file for divorce immediately and let the courts handle this matter appropriately. I understand, Your Honor. And Mrs. Sullivan, I suggest you find yourself a new lawyer. Mr. Blackwood, your petition was frivolous and a waste of this court's time. As we left the courthouse, Melissa tried one last desperate play. Derek, wait, she called out. Can we talk? Privately? I turned around. She looked smaller somehow, deflated. Please. I know I made mistakes, but we can work this out. We can go to counseling. We can start over. Start over? I almost laughed. Melissa, you cheated on me for 3 months, destroyed my home, tried to turn my friends against me, and then attempted to get a restraining order based on lies. What exactly would we be starting over from? I was confused. I was unhappy, but I realize now that I love you. No, you don't. You love the idea of not being the villain in this story. You love the idea of salvaging your reputation, but you don't love me. You never did. Her face hardened. Fine. But you'll regret this, Derek. I'll make sure of it. Actually, Melissa, I don't think you will. I pulled out an envelope and handed it to her. What's this? Divorce papers. Ben filed them this morning. Based on your adultery and financial misconduct, I'm asking for the apartment, the car, and full compensation for the property damage you caused. You'll also be responsible for your own legal fees. She tore open the envelope, her face growing paler with each page. You can't do this to me. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm simply asking the court to hold you accountable for your choices. I'll fight this. With what lawyer? With what money? Bradley got fired, remember? And I doubt your Instagram followers are going to start a legal defense fund. For the first time since I'd known her, Melissa had absolutely nothing to say. 6 months later, the divorce was final. Melissa got nothing except the debt from her legal fees and the clothes in her closet. She moved back in with her parents and deleted all her social media accounts. Bradley never found another job in town. Word travels fast in small communities, and nobody wanted to hire someone known for using company resources to fund an affair. Jessica and her crew stopped talking to Melissa entirely once they realized she'd been lying to them for months about her girls' nights. As for me, I kept the apartment, bought a new TV, and learned an important lesson about the difference between love and manipulation. The invoice I'd sent Melissa that first night was never paid. But sometimes the best revenge isn't about money. Sometimes it's about truth.